All right, so can everyone go to this link? It should take you to this page. So it's gonna ask you to go to Get Started Free. And we're gonna try to enter our...
I think mine's a little different.
Oh, does it look different?
Yeah.
What does it show?
I think I'm in the business portion. Is there a difference?
It should be PowerApps Developer Plan.
Okay.
You can also do Start Free Trial. It looks a little different, I think. So try to click this one.
Okay, got it.
Okay, cool. And then we're going to use our decomplex email, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. So try to sign in with your decomplex email, or just go through this. So I'm going to do it with the Dave one that Justin sent. And it should let you go to the next steps. So business phone number. I'll try to put my same phone number. I'm not sure if it's going to give me anything on that. Let's see, get started. Okay, that was fine. So let's go to the next. So just get started. Do next. And just skip this again. Skip setup. And then it's going to start doing this. For now, you could just close this out, the contact information. And just do skip. And we should be good. Okay, so now we're just going to start with a Canvas app. So we're going to go to Apps. And we're going to see New App at the top. So there's two different types of apps as well. So there's a Canvas app, model-driven, and I guess there's website. I've never touched website, but I've seen these two. Canvas and model-driven. Model-driven is it's more built out for you. So you just sort of customize it. Canvas app is basically starting from scratch. So we're just going to do Canvas. So click on that. And we'll just name it like Dave Workshop Canvas app. And I'll do create. Guess we do get started. And do skip when it comes up with that message. So here we have a screen. For our purposes, we're just going to do a super basic Canvas app. So let's see. We're going to go into Insert. And this is where you insert like all your buttons, text labels, text input, anything you're going to do with that. Vertical gallery. If you have data that you import into this. So the data, you can do it from an Excel sheet. You can do it from Dataverse. So Dataverse is basically Microsoft's database for all of this. You can use it for CRM, so customer dealing with customer information, like all those records would be stored in there, like in Dynamics 365, all that data, it goes into Dataverse. So you could retrieve that stuff if you wanted to. For now, we're just going to do text input. We'll just drag it to the middle. So our goal for this, just so we know, is we're going to have a text input. We're going to have a button right below the text input. And inside of the text input, we're going to enter a question or whatever, a prompt. And what we're hoping to do is we're going to send that prompt to a Power Automate flow. So Power Automate flow is just like a separate list of steps that a small program goes through. And we're going to pass that question in to that Power Automate flow. It's going to do an API call, and it's going to give us back the response to our Canvas app. Does that make sense? So we're passing in input to a flow, so it's like a separate program, and then we get a response back into the Canvas app. It'll make sense. It'll make sense. Okay, so we have our text input. We just delete the text. So it's going to be up here on default. You can also see these properties. If you go right here, it's going to be the same ones. So default, you can change like the color of the text, the font, height, everything basically. So we're just going to delete whatever's in here. Okay. And then we're going to have a hint text. So we could just say, please enter your question or something like that, whatever you guys want to do. Now we're just going to center the text. So it looks better. So I centered it is up here on the line. Just do a line center. Okay, so that's good for now. Just for organization, let's rename these. So the screen. So we'll do rename. We'll do home screen. Let's do underscore. So home screen like that. And let's rename the text input. So rename. We can call it home question. And then I just label it by the type. Home question text label. So you know which screen, sort of description of what it is, and a text label. So it's just a data type. Okay, so now we're gonna add a button. Is everyone okay with that? Just a text input? I guess that was a text input, actually, my bad. So just rename that real quick, text input.
So just to go over the naming convention, it's the first is the location or like the screen that you're on, which would be home. And then the second would be kind of like a description. So it would be like your question. And then the final field would be the data type of that attribute pretty much.
Yeah, so whatever it says on here, like if it's a button, I just add it to the end, like just so we're aware of it. Like if it's a pen input, whatever, it's easier to track down later on.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so now we're gonna add a button. So we go to insert, button right here. Just gonna drag it down here. Okay, so now we have a button. We could just rename the button right away. So it's gonna be home underscore, let's say submit, and then the type is button, home submit button. Now let's just change the text on the button. So right here, you can do it through here, or you can do it through over here as well, if you want to. You just change it right here to submit. So we're going to move on to creating a new screen. So let's add another one. So this screen is just going to be for showing the response. This is just how I did it, but if you guys have better design skills, then you can make it a different way. It's just, yeah, this is just the draft. So let's see, we're going to add a text label. So a text label is just for displaying text. It's not like the text input. So let's do a text label. Let's just drag it to the middle of the screen. And we can increase the font size. We can do it through here. Let's see, it's gonna be size. Or you could do it through the side as well. I just want to keep showing that you can do it either. And how I did this before, just so it doesn't look like a white box, like it doesn't look like the box is there, I went to fill on this right here. Fill. And then I just changed the last value to 0.05. and it'll make it slightly gray. So to recap, we just added a text label. We made the text label bigger, just stretched it out, and then changed the fill to 0.05, the last value. That's it for now. And then we could just delete the text. We don't need that there since it's going to change. Okay, so now just want to add one more button. This button will just be to go back to the previous screen. So if you want to keep going like loop, like ask another question, submit, ask another question, submit, we'll just do that. So let's do ask another question. Just make the button bigger. So now let's just do this right away. We'll do navigate parentheses, and then we'll do home screen. So this just makes it so that when we click on this button, it'll take us back to the home screen. So that's on the onSelect function. So if you want to do anything with clicking, it's going to be on onSelect. So let's just test it out since we did change the spaces. I haven't tested that yet. Nice. OK. Take this off. So if you want to test your Canvas app, you would just do the preview of the app, and it'll start running it. OK, so we have that. Let's see. Let's just rename these just so it looks better. So we'll do response screen. We'll rename the button to response question button. There's probably better names like response repeat question or something, but it's okay for now. So label, let's just say response answer, and then a text label.
Is there supposed? I'm getting an error for the navigate function.
Navigate. So it should look like this. And you did it on the onSelect?
Yeah. Oh, I got it now. Okay.
Okay, nice. Okay, any other questions? Just renamed these. This one's a response screen, response question button, response answer text label. So it's all of these. Okay, no questions. So now let's test out connecting a flow. So we'll do, when we click the submit button, we want a flow to run. So a flow, again, is just a list of actions that happen. So we'll see that right now. So we're going to go right here where it says, where it's this little symbol where it says Power Automate. So we're going to do create new flow. And do create from blank. Oh, it's being a little slow. Okay, there you go. Started. Interesting. Okay. So does everyone see this? If not, just type not okay. Okay. So this first block is called the trigger. So this is the first thing that runs in the flow. So it just goes in sequence from top to bottom. So this is the first thing, the trigger. So the trigger has information on where the flow was called from. So if you pass any inputs through the Canvas app, it's going to show up in the trigger. If there's different types of triggers, so imagine a record was created in a database and we had like a model-driven app, so it holds records on contacts or something, right? So if you create a new contact, there is a specific trigger that will capture that. It'll fire the flow as soon as a contact is created, and it'll go into these list of steps. So when a contact is created, run this flow. The trigger just detects that. That's what it does. So we'll see that right now. So new step. So after the flow is triggered, we're going to want to do other stuff, right? So for now, we'll just do this off the bat. So just type in any, and variable should show up. Or you can also just do variable. And you should see a list of actions. And just choose initialize variable. So this is no different from creating a variable like in C++, Python, Java, anything. We're just creating a variable. So let's see. Let's just call it prompt. So how you rename that right here, rename. And then we're going to name the variable prompt. And the type, see these are the same types as anything else. So Boolean, integer, float, string, object, array. We're just going to do string. And for the value, if you notice, whenever you click on a field that's empty like this shows up, dynamic content. So dynamic content basically keeps track of any prior actions, like this trigger. So each one of these blocks has output that comes out. After it runs, there's output. And that output, you can pass it to the next action. So if the trigger had information on, so in that scenario, if a contact was created and the trigger captured that, it's going to have the contact's information. It could say Christian, Arredondo, phone number, whatever. And then you can use that in this next action to initialize a variable. So all of that information is stored in here. You just pass it on. So it just flows, basically. OK. So we're going to do ask in PowerApps. And this is just going to ask for the value in the Canvas app. So just click that, and you should see that it's auto-filled with prompt value. And if you hover over this, it always tells you like a bit more information. So this tells you it's from the trigger body. So the trigger is that action up here, PowerApps. So it tells you this information is going to come from the trigger. So we're going to be passing a prompt value to the trigger. And then we're going to set the value in this variable.
Is prompt value like a preset name value, or is it getting that name from your PowerApps?
It's getting it from the Canvas app.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Canvas app passes the value. Or when the button is clicked, that value is passed to this first block. And then from this first block, we set this variable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now we have a variable with like prompt, whatever question you entered in. So this is the question. So we'll see that right now. Let's see. We're going to do another step. So we'll do compose. I usually like using compose for printing and like debugging. I also use it if I'm going to format JSON, if I'm going to send it to an API call, stuff like that, or an API. So we'll do compose. So you add an action, you do insert step. You always see that little plus sign when you go right below it. So just do that again. So add an action and then compose. Same thing, it'll show up. So this compose, we could just rename it just for clarity. So do print prompt. And the input for this is going to be the output of this one, of this block. So we're going to look for it. Everything, it's going to show everything before this block up here. So we could see variables. It's right here, prompt. So we're going to click it and it's going to fill that compose.
Is it getting the name prompt from the name? Not the actual name up top of the variable, but the little asterisk name field? Is that where it's getting that name from?
Asterisk. Oh, this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the variable. This variable is just set through the Canvas app. So whatever we type in the Canvas app, it passes it into here and we save it in a variable.
Mhm.
And then this variable, we pass it into here, into this print statement, basically.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like, because you have both the name is prompt and then the name above it, the bar is called, also says prompt. I'm wondering which prompt is it referring to?
Okay. Yeah, so this name, it doesn't really matter. I just did prompt just because it looks cleaner when you do ask in PowerApps, a little action right here. So it's just prompt value. It makes more sense to, if you did initialize prompt or something, it would say initialize prompt value. And it's just messier to type in and stuff.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So it gets passed into here and we're just going to see it print. So now we can do a save. Okay. So let's actually change the name of the flow because it generated a name and it's pretty long. So we'll just go to the little ellipses. We'll do edit and it'll pull back the flow. Let's do OpenAI flow. And just click away from it and do save. So now we have our flow, but we haven't really connected it to the button. So to connect it to the button, you would want to do, let's see, on select. So click on the button, scroll through this, and you'll see on select. And then just erase this. And we're going to do the name of the flow. So OpenAI flow. If we did it with spaces, then just take out the spaces when you type it in here. And I'm just going to click the first one. So it's going to autocomplete. It's going to say OpenAI flow run. Okay, so it's already expecting arguments. That's fine. So everyone got this. It's going to give you a little error. Okay, so run. So now it's expecting this prompt value. So we're going to have to pass in something so it goes to the flow. So what we want to pass in is this text input, this home question text input. So let's just copy that. So I just clicked on it, double click, and it'll let you copy it. Click on the submit button. It should still be on select. Paste it in. And then do dot text. Let's see, it might want it to be together. Let's see, run has some invalid arguments. Name is invalid. Home question text input. Yeah, it's doing it separate. Let's see. let me try to put it together. Just take out the spaces. See if that makes any difference. Okay, so so there is an issue with the spaces. It's okay. Just change it for this one. So what I did was on the home question text input, just remove the spaces. Someone is typing. It worked with underscores. Oh, interesting.
Oh, really?
If it worked with underscores, that's fine. You can keep it like that. I'm not sure why it didn't work for mine. Okay, that's fine. So now this button should run this flow, OpenAI flow, which is the flow that we created. It'll basically trigger it. And what it's going to pass in is this home question text input text. So dot text, the actual value of this text input. So let's try this. We're going to add semicolon, and we're going to do navigate. And we're going to navigate to the response screen. So it's going to run the flow and then go to the response screen. And then it's not passing it back to the response screen yet, but that's okay. Let's just set this up for now. It's good now. So now let's try to run the app. Let's see. We're already passing in the input. So let's just do test or whatever you guys want to do. And then click submit. Okay, so nothing so far. But can you guys duplicate your tab? Just duplicate whatever this tab is. And it's going to ask you a question. It's going to say override or not. Just do cancel. We just want to open up another page so we can look at the flow runs. So like the logs, basically. And we're going to be back at this screen. So from here, we're going to go to flows. And it should show the flow that we created. If it doesn't show up for anyone, let me know. But it should say OpenAI flow or whatever you named it. Okay, so we're going to click on it. And it's going to show us 28-day run history. So this is the first run. So we know it actually triggered successfully. So let's look at the run. We just click on it. So it passed in a value. This is what it shows us right here. And the prompt value was test. That's the same value that we typed in, right? So let's see. Test. So it received it. This flow received it. So now with this prompt value, we set this next variable. So the prompt, this is the name of the variable, the type, and the value, test, which is what we got from the Canvas app. And right here, we just print it. So it just says test. Everyone got that? So basically, we typed in a value, clicked on the button, and that button passed the value to the flow. And we basically just printed it out. We just checked if it was okay. Okay, nice. So we got that. And that took us to the second screen, I believe. Okay, so there's nothing in there.
Did you see that, Christian?
Oh, what happened?
Someone was asked if you could go through it again.
Yeah, from what part?
I think after you went to flows, you said something about 28-day run history.
Okay, yeah.
After that.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, so you could see it says right here 28-day run history. So anytime you trigger the flow, it'll show up on here. It'll either say succeeded, canceled, or failed. So these are the 2 runs that I just did. I clicked on the button twice, so that's why it shows up on here. If I click on the button again, let's go to the home screen to play, click, refresh, there it is. So it's saying, yeah, I received like a, I noticed a change in your Canvas app, like you click the button, so it's going to show up on here. So this is the newest one, you just click on it. And this is just the execution results. So it just shows what happened in the actual run. So it shows the value we passed in, prompt value. This came from the Canvas app. It's just what we typed in. Can you guys follow this link? Sign up for OpenAI API. And you're going to use your school email and then just go through the instructions. So I should go through right here to sign up. And then try to use your school email. And let me know if there's any questions on this, if there's any issues. So now we're going to go to this link. Where is it? This link. So let me paste it again. I just put in the chat, and it should take you to your API keys. You're not going to see any since we haven't generated any yet. But you're going to do create new secret. And you're going to copy it right away because you can't recopy it if you click off of it. So just make sure you copy to your clipboard and put it in a text file or in Teams anywhere. Just save it because you're going to need it. So we're just going to generate a new key. Which email is this on? Okay, it doesn't matter if I do it on this one. So create new secret. I'm going to copy this, save it. So it doesn't matter for me. This isn't even my other account. Like these keys don't work for me for some reason. Hopefully they work for you guys, but I think it's because I entered the same phone number for 2 different emails. So it just limits me. Okay. So now that we have that, can everyone go back to the flow? So let's do print prompt. So we have the output or the question. We're going to add a new step. And you're going to look up HTTP. And it's going to be this green one with the globe on it. So just click on that. And it's going to be the first one, HTTP. Everyone got that? If not, just do not okay. And then I'm going to paste something else in the chat. Can you show again? Yeah. Let me just delete this. So you should have these 3 steps at this point. So we're going to add a new step. Look up HTTP. And then it's going to be this green one with the globe on it. So just click on it. And then it's going to be the first action, HTTP. Yeah. Okay. So I just pasted that into the chat. So we're going to enter that into the headers. So just copy it for now. And then on headers, we're going to click this little T. It says switch headers to text mode. So this is a fast way to do it. If we don't want to type like content type, whatever, you just enter it as like a JSON object. So we're going to paste that in there. And then if you check on it again, it'll be already formatted for you. That's pretty nice. And now, right after bearer, we're going to enter the API key. So whatever secret you copied, enter that. So I'm going to get mine. Just paste it into here. Let's see. Oh, I didn't paste it in between the. Oh, I did. Why is it? Make sure it's between the quotes, because for some reason it took me out of the quotes. And ideally, we wouldn't want to expose the API key like this, but it's okay since it's just for a test. In Azure, there's a thing called Key Vault, and you could store all your passwords in there, like if you know about like Bitwarden, stuff like that. And then we would ideally be able to retrieve it in here. So it wouldn't show the actual value. That's another way to do it. It's safer.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, it's okay. So does everyone have this? Okay. So the method we're going to change to post. These are just the same methods. If you guys have seen it before, I'm pretty sure. So get, put, post, patch, delete. We're going to do post since we're going to send information. And then we have the URL we're going to be sending to. Let me paste that as well. You're going to put that under URI. And then the last thing we're going to do is the body. So I have that in here too. Did I just send it to myself? Okay, wait up. Sorry about that. Let's see. Okay, thank you. If there's any questions, you can ask them now. Let's see. So you're going to enter this into body. For some reason, that's spaced kind of weird. Just make sure you press enter on this, just so they're all like lined up like that. Not sure why pasting like that. Okay. So is anyone not okay right now? All right. So for now, let's just do an example question. Or actually, no, we don't need to. We already have the value. So remember we stored the value inside of this variable prompt for the question? When you click on this, this should show up, the dynamic content. So remember that shows values for all previous actions. So the outputs of these actions above it. So we're going to get that. You're going to pass in the variable. So just click on it and it should look like that. So it's going to be prompt as the key, and then the value is going to be prompt from up here. So it's just like pass down. So now let's just save. Okay. So let's just go ahead with it. We'll do. I'll slow down on that. New step. we're going to look for respond. And this should show up, PowerApps. It's the same symbol as up here, pretty similar. So we're going to click on that. And you see this action, respond to a Power App or flow. So we're going to click on that. And then we're going to click on that, the plus sign. And then what we're going to pass back is the answer, right, from the OpenAI API. So we're going to pass back text. And what you want to call the text, we can just call it response if we want. So response. And then the value is going to be whatever we get back from this action, the HTTP. So it's going to be a JSON response. And we can clean that up because it's going to look like a mess. But for now, it's all right. So if you click on this, again, it's going to show you dynamic content. So it's going to show this action right here, HTTP. Do see more. And it shows you everything that is considered output. So it'll show you like the status code. If you ever did an HTTP request and you wanted to check the status code for error handling, then you can do it this way. And then you can also see the body. So that's going to be the answer in there, any other information. So we're going to pass that back to the Canvas app so we can look at it. So click on body, and it should be set up like that. So we're going to pass back basically a variable called the response with the value of the HTTP request. Okay, so we're going to save. Okay, so let's check our Canvas app again. So let's click on this text label. And I'm going to go to text. So I just scroll down on there. And I'm going to replace this. I'm going to do, what is the value that we set up over here? Oh, we haven't yet. Okay. So can everyone go back onto the home submit button on the first screen? Outside of this, we're going to do set parentheses. And then right before the semicolon, we're going to do another parentheses to close it off. And then we're going to create a variable that we're going to store the information from the flow. So you guys remember how we did respond to a Power App flow? We're going to store it inside a variable inside the Canvas app. So response from flow. Let me show that again. So we're going to call the flow. It's going to trigger. It's going to do the HTTP request. We're going to send back the body of the HTTP request to the Canvas app. And it's going to be stored inside of this variable, response from flow. And then we can use this variable however we see fit, like if we want to display it. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. All right, so does everyone have that? Set, and then we call the flow, set the variable, and then we go to the next screen. So that should be it. And then we go back to response screen, text label. And we're going to set this text to our variable. So it's going to be response from flow, and it should show up. And then we do dot, and then what did we say? It was going to be response. So you do lowercase for this. Not sure why it makes you do it, but let's see. Did I respond? Am I missing anything? Let's do capital. So let's refresh the flow. If it is that, then I'm going to ask you guys to refresh it as well. Okay, to refresh the flow, you just go over here, Power Automate, click on the little dots, do refresh. If you do any changes, I would just recommend doing that. Just refreshing every once in a while. So in this box, you should see a response from flow, which is our variable that we created up here, and then dot response. So that should be it. I'll do a save, and then we can go over it again. Just go through all the values, make sure we're on the same page. Let's see. So it's I'll go back to the home screen, test. Okay, let me see what it was, if it was a good run. Looks like it did. Let's look at the actual. So this is what the HTTP response gave back to us. Status code 200, so everything was good. And then we can see choices. The authority responsible for managing that domain is probably a domain registrar. The registrar would be. I can't remember what question we asked it. I think it was just test. Let's change the question. I'm doing well, thank you. So it says right here. How about you? So you can see it's a mess. We're gonna have to just pick out like the important parts from that JSON. Right here. Where is it? Right here. So I'll show you guys how we do that right now. So we can go back to edit, and we'll be back on the flow. If we want to just pass in the important information from the HTTP request, we can do, let's add an action between this and the response to the Canvas app right here. And then do add an action, compose. And then it's going to be this one down here. Or you could do it through data operation as well. It's just one of the actions in data operations, not the list. It's going to be compose. And then we can just rename it whatever you want, like format HTTP, something like that. And in Power Automate, we use JSON a lot. Like if you use Python, it's going to look like dictionaries. So what we're going to do is click on this. It should be empty. Dynamic content pops up. HTTP is an action right before it, so you can see the output in here. We're going to do body. And then if you guys can, click at the end of it and then try to copy it. I just click Command C like a bunch of times. Let's see. And then let me show that again.
A quick question. How did you get the format HTTP? What did you search for?
Okay, I'll show that real quick.
Sorry.
So HTTP, respond to an app, Power App flow. Right in between them, do add an action. Look for compose. And you should see it right here under actions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then just rename it. Originally it's compose, but you could just rename it. It doesn't really matter. So format HTTP. Okay, so inside of this, when you click on it, dynamic content should pop up. It shows all prior information, all prior outputs. So we're going to do body. And I want you guys to try to copy it. So drag it over like that and copy it like a bunch of times. Then go into expression Expression is pretty useful, like if you're checking the length of an object or an array. If you're trying to sort something, reverse, you can do conditions. You could check if something's equal and or not, JSON. You can do conversions as well. You can do a bunch of stuff here. So this is pretty useful. So I'm going to paste it in here. And we should see this, body HTTP. I'm going to take off the end of it. So take off that. If you guys didn't see that, it was this little bracket. And then go to the start of the B, and then take this off. So it should just say body HTTP. And this is going to be on the body of the HTTP response. So you saw that there was, I'll show you. This is basically how I do it. I look at the run and the output, and then just like base it off of that. Let's see. You guys don't have to go to the run, but since it'll be on the screen. But you see all these values, right? So right now we're inside body. So it's right here. If we just send this, it's going to send this entire thing. But we want to select this text, right? I'm doing well. Thank you. How about you? So we're going to go into choices. So body choices, which is going to be the first thing. So let's do question mark. So Justin asked me earlier what the question mark does. And it just checks if the value actually exists in the JSON object. So yeah, it's just for like safety. And then we're going to do, let's see, choices. So we're selecting choices. And that's basically picking this list. So now we're in the list. So the list is going to have indexes. So we're going to do the first index right here. So we're going to do 0. So that's going to select anything inside of here. And now we're going to do text. So another question mark, text. And that'll select our actual value. It'll give us that. So now let's do OK. And try not to click off of that, because it's happened so many times where I'm doing an expression, like test. I click off of it, it's gone. You can't get that back. So I'd be really careful to not click off of it while you're writing an expression. OK, so this will now have the value of the answer. So we're going to pass this action's output back to the Canvas app. So we're going to see it in here, format HTTP outputs. So select it. And now we're passing it back. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure this out. I don't have that option of the dynamic or add dynamic.
Oh, zoom out. Try to zoom out and it might show up.
Oh, okay, okay.
Let me know if it does.
Yeah, it worked. Thank you.
OK, cool. So now we're going to go back to the Canvas app. And let's try to run it and see what happens. So this should navigate back to the first page. Let's do hello, how are you? Or like whatever you guys want. Submit. And there you go. We have the actual like specific output, like the choice. Yeah, from there, if you guys want to like do anything else, you could. Like what I did was just added, let's see, a rectangle. Added it to the top right here. Just like that. And then I added like text over it. Like a text label. I centered it. Change the text to OpenAI Canvas app. Stretch it out a little. I'm not sure if it's centered. It's centered now. Change the font size to maybe 25. And just change the color. Make it bold. Yeah, stuff like that. Just you can do more design stuff if you're into that. And flows can be used for a lot of other things, like integrations. So if you wanted to get data from one website to another, one thing I did when I started here is I did an integration from Dynamics 365. So I added like customer information to another website called Constant Contact. So it's just a bunch of contacts in there. And the trigger I used for that is when a Dynamics contact is created. It was a Dataverse trigger. So when a Dynamics contact is created, and then I set up a bunch of actions. I did an API call, and I posted that to the Constant Contact API. So it moved whatever contact that was created, it moved it to the other API. So that's how I have set that up before. And you can do a lot of stuff with automation. You can run it on a schedule. So one thing we have is like for notifications, we have set up on another project. When something is due, it sends out an email. So it checks all the projects. And then if something seems like it's due, it sends out an email to a bunch of people in the system. There's you can send emails. You can do a lot of stuff. So you can see all these actions. Let me show. Yeah. So there's like different Excel. Get forecast today if you wanted to. Send an email notification. This is the one I was talking about. So when a new row is added, you can set it up to trigger off like contacts, because all Dataverse is a bunch of tables. So there's like a contact table. You can build like your own custom tables if you want to do like person. And then if you wanted to add columns are just fields. It's like a lot of object-oriented stuff. Basically the same thing. If you created a class and you had a bunch of variables inside of that class, and then you just kind of like access them. That's basically the same thing, Dataverse. Let's see. Yeah, and you can also make it so it resets the text input. So reset parentheses, and you should see home question text input. And then I'll show that again if anyone wants it. Do a save. So when you click on the button, it'll be empty again. So it'll empty it out every time you ask a question. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You can make this look a lot better. It's just this is what I came up with to give you guys an introduction. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do.
Thank you so much for showing us this, Christian.
Yeah.
Very, very helpful, very informative.
Yeah, no problem.